Could America be quietly inching towards a constitutional crisis?
No, no, no.
No, no, no.
No, no.
A simple red hat might be sending a message far bigger than anyone expected. Today we're diving into a conversation that's gaining traction. Could Donald Trump return for a third presidential term? That idea would seem impossible under the US Constitution, but between bold claims from political allies and some curious merchandise, questions are being raised. Stick around as we break down what the law says, what the loopholes are, and how close, if at all, we are to a true constitutional showdown. This all kicked off when the official Trump store began selling Trump 2028 hats. That's right, 2028. The hats, which retail for $50, are being sold alongside other MAGA merchandise. And while a hat isn't a campaign announcement, the message is raising eyebrows. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt brushed it off, saying, "It's just a hat."
For the road, the official Trump store is now selling hats that say Trump 2028, $50. Even though the Constitution doesn't envision a term 3 for President Trump or any Trump or any president, is that just a hat?
It's just a hat. The president was asked and answered this question yesterday. It's not something he's thinking of, though I hear the hats are flying off the shelves.
So is it just marketing? Or is it the start of something more serious? Enter Steve Bannon. For months now, Bannon has been claiming that come the evening of January 20th, 2028, Donald Trump will be sworn in once again as president.
I'm a firm believer that President Trump will run and win again in 2028. So I've already endorsed President Trump.
That's a bold prediction. How exactly would that happen? And is it even legal? Here's the legal wall that Trump would have to climb. The 22nd Amendment to the US Constitution. Ratified in 1951 after Franklin D. Roosevelt served 4 terms, the amendment clearly states, "No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice." This was meant to ensure that no future president would consolidate power over too long a period. It was modeled after George Washington's precedent of stepping down after 2 terms. So under current law, Trump can't be elected president a 3rd time. Case closed? Not quite. Yes, technically the Constitution can be amended, but it's incredibly difficult. The amendment needs to be passed by 2/3 of both the House and the Senate, then ratified by 3/4 of state legislatures, which, with our 50 states today, comes out to 38 state legislatures. Given how politically polarized the US is, with only a handful of swing states, there's virtually no chance of that happening. So if a 3rd term were to happen, it would need to happen another way. Here's where things get interesting. Some have floated the idea that Trump could run not as president, but as vice president. Say hypothetically that someone like J.D. Vance runs for president with Trump as VP. If elected, J.D. Vance could then step down, and Trump could take over. Would that be legal? The Constitution doesn't explicitly ban someone from serving more than 2 terms. It says they can't be elected more than twice. This legal gray area hasn't been tested, but it would almost certainly trigger a court battle, and it shows how some might try to thread the needle. Then there's the most dangerous scenario, ignoring the Constitution altogether. This is probably the most unlikely, but there's already been tension between the executive branch and the judiciary. The current administration has ignored some federal rulings, specifically around immigration. So what happens if a future president, Trump or anyone else, simply decides not to accept the 22nd Amendment and run? Would the courts intervene? Would Congress? Would the military? There's no clear answer, and that uncertainty is what makes it so alarming. This isn't just about Trump. It's about presidential norms. Since George Washington, it's been accepted that 2 terms is enough, with a few caveats such as FDR. He was a global exception in a time of war and crisis. Breaking that norm now, by even exploring it, risks setting a precedent that could fundamentally reshape the presidency. Today, it's Trump. Tomorrow, it could be somebody else. So why does this matter if it's all hypothetical? Because history has a funny way of sneaking up on us. We've seen a pattern. Ideas floated quietly become mainstream talking points. Then those talking points become campaign promises, and then those promises become policy. And if Americans aren't paying enough attention, something as serious as a constitutional crisis like this could unfold, and we wouldn't see it coming until it's too late. Let's be clear. As of right now, Donald Trump has not announced a third-term campaign, but the chatter, the merch, the legal talk, it's all pointing to a conversation that needs to be taken seriously, because our democracy doesn't run on autopilot, it runs on laws and norms and vigilance. What do you think? Is this all marketing hype, or is there a real plan in motion? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep dives like this. And remember, history is written by those who stay informed.